Welcome back to Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. Today's episode, powered by Hayabusa, is all about the sidekick. And I usually don't trust people teaching you guys, but I have a special guest, and it's Ross Turbo Levine, who is Black Belt Magazine Hall of Famer, Glory 2019 Knockout of the Year, and Karate Combat Superstar, who eventually we'll probably see win a world title. So, let's get into the sidekick. Now, again, I've been known as the karate killer a little bit with my win against Raymond Daniels, and Ross Levine has competed against Raymond Daniels and is also a world champion. So he's gonna break down the sidekick for us, and then maybe I'll throw in how we beat the sidekick a little bit. So, welcome to the channel, Ross.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you having me as always.
All right, man.
One of the things that helped me transition from sport karate to kickboxing was doing some unorthodox things that most traditional kickboxers aren't used to.
Exactly.
And that is number one being the lead leg sidekick. And I use it a little bit differently, so we could talk maybe about some of the things that like do's and don'ts, and then how we would set it up, and then how you and I can blend it together to help all the members kind of learn how to use their sidekick.
Sounds good. So the way I first learned a sidekick was with a chamber. So we lift the chamber up and then it's the extension. Is that how you teach it as well?
So that's don't number one, right?
Ooh,
don't
okay.
number one
right.
is I never want to show the chamber because I don't want people knowing where it's coming from, or seeing the bottom of my foot will kind of guide them into knowing where the kick is coming.
All right, let's see it. Let's explain it.
So if you're in your stance, and this will work in a match stance or an open stance, whichever you prefer, but my first target is always going to be the midsection and really like low, just below the elbows, so I can get people to bring themselves down. So like I mentioned, I don't want to bring my leg up here because now they're gonna see the trajectory of the kick. So I try and go from ground to target as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So if I'm in my stance here, I'm gonna drive off of my back leg and from the ground, shoot my side kick straight at the hip there. All right, and the goal would be, if I'm here, maybe I'm occupying some space, and then I drive to either score, do some damage, or hopefully get them to pull their elbows down. And as soon as you pull that elbow down, now I know I've got you, because from there, I can start manipulating where my kick goes, change the level of the kick, and play off of that.
Yeah, and a lot of times we talk about getting the shell position, right? So whether we're feinting or we create a reaction. So the sidekick was perfect for that, right? So Now you get me based. What do you like to do off of that?
Yeah, number one, I like to play off of different kicks that I can throw from that same lifting position. So if I can get my side kick where now I know every time I'm either pushing you back or I'm driving into that elbow, if I really see you coming down, I'll take that instead of being a side kick, I'll throw it straight up and hit the round kick behind the head. So if I load the side kick here, now I can bring it up there, right? Get them thinking it's coming one way and go the other. Another great one is the hook kick. Have to be very careful in practice that you're not clipping someone with your heel. But again, if I can drive my side kick in, get that a couple times, get people pulling their elbows down, I'll lead the hook kick up. And because of that lift, it looks the same, whether it's the side kick here, the round kick, the hook kick, and then you can kind of play with it from there.
Now, if you were to use this in kickboxing, MMA, would you ever attack the leg with it? Would you ever kind of side kick off of the leg a bit?
I don't like to do that just because I know how dangerous it is, so it's not something I utilize in sparring. I've never used it in competition, but the oblique kick you're seeing being popularized in MMA a lot. So, you know, if it's in the rule set, I'm not against it. Just be very cautious when you're training it.
Okay, so when you lift your leg up, you're saying it's not a chamber, but so how do you kind of disguise it a little bit more than that traditional chamber?
Yeah, I just make sure that I'm not tucking my knee to my chest. There is technically a bit of a chamber, but it's lifting towards the target. So my chamber is really from my hip, not from my knee, because I don't want to see where it's coming from, right? I want to disguise the angle and the trajectory of the kick. Otherwise, if I'm here, you'll know it has to come out from that direction. If I bring it here, it has to come out from that direction as well. So I want to hide all of that as much as possible. And the power, a lot of times people say, well, if you're not chambering, you're not getting power, but the power is coming from my back leg as I drive. So as I press off this back leg, boom, I can still make really solid contact. And then even if you're on the opposite side and I get someone, so if you were to switch stances, sir, and I can attack the liver here and I sneak it underneath, boom. All right, that could be a fight ender. It's the same as a left hand to the liver or a left body kick, all the same.
Now, what I also like about that karate style sidekick is the way you can kind of slide forward with it, which gives you that power, but I've also seen it very defensively moving backwards, which still gets a lot of power because they're meeting in that kind of match crashing type of contact.
Absolutely. So if this was a scenario where you and I are sparring or fighting in this position where we're in this open stance, you know, maybe if we've known in your sessions before, we've talked about timing your rear hand with my rear leg. So if you were to throw the right cross, I can come underneath and hit the liver there. But again, if you have a very flexible and good dexterity in that front leg, if you were throwing the cross, I can lean my body back and it just acts as a stopping power, kind of like a piston to drive you in.
Yeah, now we had a little conversation before the camera was the angle of that side kick too. Sometimes you have your knee pointed down, right? So sometimes if you're coming the knees down to kind of give you a nicer angle, because same thing with the chamber, it might be harder to split the guard. So with the knee pointing down, you can get a nice upward angle.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you're looking at me this way and I throw my kick straight, you can see it's a bigger target. So if someone's really good at pulling their elbows in, they might block with their arms. But if I take a little step back and I pivot, now as I drive the kick up, I'm leaning a little bit more with the heel and hopefully we'll split the guard and do some more damage.
Yeah. Now the other thing I see with the side kick is using it as a feint sometimes to create, which is something you do very well.
Yes, sir.
So explain that for us.
So yeah, again, it's just a matter of, like you talk about all the time, getting the shell. So I want to use that initial side kick as my power technique, get you to be here, boom, right? I can move a little bit, occupy that space, boom, and I'm driving. Now, again, once I have someone pull themselves down, I can start playing with all of my different levels. So I can get you here, open up my hands. All right, I can get you here, touch, go to the calf or the low kick. I can get to here, pin, frame, work off of that from there and just apply all of the same kickboxing drills that you would if you apply that shell first.
Yeah, and naturally when I first started kickboxing, and I fought a lot of Muay Thai guys, the problem was it's like they wanted to clinch and knee me all the time. So versus my forward pressure, they were trying to get the knee. So naturally, I was kind of just entering with the feinted sidekick to kind of use it. I call that like my battle ram, kind of protecting myself in at the same time. But if you mix it with a sidekick, that much more effective.
Well, now you just have two options, and you can lead with a weapon instead of just leading with the feint and kind of throw people off. You can be damaging from long range too, same way you would with those like rear teeps or front teeps to poke at the belly. You can do that the same way with the heel for your sidekick and get very similar results. And it's unorthodox.
Exactly. Now it's different, people aren't used to it. This is why I think now even in modern martial arts, we don't really see it as much. Maybe Wonder Boy Thompson, would you say?
Big time, yeah. He's the one where you see it the most with that lead left leg, and he drives the side kick, the lead leg hook kick. Pretty much everything we just talked about is something that you've seen Wonder Boy do in his fights very successfully and blends it well with his spin kick. I mean, very good usage of that.
Now, I'm someone who always looks at how to beat that style. So when everyone fights Raymond Daniels or Wonder Boy Thompson, they always watch my videos. So as a counter to that, so first thing I look at is to throw your sidekick, you got to be in a little side stance, right? Which is a bladed stance slightly, but I mean, you can mix it, but right away for me, one of the things I think about, one, is having to angle to avoid the sidekick, or maybe matching the stance and being able to attack that leg. Have you had any other issues with people attacking from the side stance?
It's more so when you get crowded and if you don't know how to create your space. So if you're throwing it from more of a kickboxing stance, maybe you're a little bit bladed, right? I still can blend from my kick back to my stance and then have my traditional movements, my pivots, my L steps, whatever. But when I'm sideways, it limits what I can do side to side. I'm a lot better at moving linear. So if you're in a ring, the issue that I've had is you kind of run out of space very quickly because of that long stance. The other thing though is for me, when people do try and attack that leg and I feel like they're being successful, I abort the side kick and I step straight in.
And pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
But even from that side stance, you can always lift the leg too, right? When I'm coming here, lifting and then countering off of it as well. Because I mean, I always feel that the side stance, if you know how to use it well, can be very effective. And now one of my big rants is with people, they're like, well, you only kind of have one stance. Well, just because you're used to a side stance, you have to be able to blend and match stances. So if you're in a side stance and someone starts attacking the leg, then you might have to go with a more center foot leg. So I think the adapting in the stance is the key.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way, and when you see the best in the world competing, they may have one or two or maybe even three things that they do very, very well, exceptionally even, but they always have a little bit extra. They have some different things they can do. I wouldn't recommend fighting at a professional level fully side stance. I think it limits your capabilities, but having that extra piece to put into the puzzle that might be different from most of your challengers, it can be something that is a game changer.
Yeah, and I mean, depending on what you're doing, right? I find if you're boxing, you do want to be slightly bladed. If you're trying to kick a little bit more, you might want to be a little bit more squared stance. So I think it's depending on what you're doing and what you're attacking with should determine your stance.
Absolutely.
Any last points?
No, I think that was it. And you know, most importantly, everything that you do that's kind of outside of the box has to come back down to your basics.
Yep.
All of this stuff, all the extra, like I like to call it and teach my students, the extra is great, but you're not hitting a home run every single time, right? So you have to have good, solid basics, build around that, and then you can become a more complete fighter.
All right, I love it. How can people follow you, Ross? How can they get a hold of you?
Best way is on Instagram at Ross_Turbo_Levine. Follow me there. Follow me Karate Combat, karate.com, and you can check me out on season 4.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay up to date with all the videos. And we got to thank the channel sponsors, Hayabusa Fight, for all the Hayabusa gear you guys see in the video, as well as the gear I'm wearing. And we have Perfect Sports Nutrition using code Bazooka20, get 20% off your supplements. And last but not least, bazookatraining.com. You get full curriculum teaching by me for only $9.99 a month, plus 200 archive videos, 4 brand new videos a week. Bag work, home drills, sparring drills, tutorials, too many videos for you to study and learn. All right, we'll see you next time here at Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. Welcome to Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA online training. I'm Bazooka Joe Valtellini, the owner here at Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. Over the past year, I've designed and created a website to teach Bazooka curriculum at home and across the world. The purpose of this website is for you to, 1, hit your fitness and health goals, all while learning world-class martial arts instruction from me. The beautiful thing about this website, it's geared for all levels. So if you're learning martial arts for the first time as a beginner, we help you progress into the bigger stages. And if you're a pro fighter, guess what? We have different fight concepts for you to improve your tool set and your skills in the ring or cage. As the fastest rising kickboxing world champion and a lifelong martial artist with over 30 years of experience, I've been able to combine my passion for martial arts and teaching to create this website. This website's going to give you some of the tricks, secrets, and inside look at some of the training I use to win my world title. Once you subscribe to this site, you're going to be getting weekly training videos and tutorials that you can do from anywhere. The sections are broken up into 3 parts. The first is bag workout. So if you have a bag at home or at your gym, you can use these workouts to supplement your training. The second is at-home workouts. A lot of us don't have the room for a bag or a bag in general, so these workouts are for no equipment needed and you can do them anywhere. And finally, the tutorial section. If you're having any problems with a specific technique or fight concept that's covered in any of the workouts, go to the tutorial section, learn the technique, and then go back to the workout, and this time, do it with proper technique. One of the added benefits once you subscribe is the forums section, where you can get a more personalized experience where you can ask questions and I'll be able to go in there and answer them. It's all about building a team and a community of martial artists helping each other grow. So subscribe now to get access to all the videos plus more so you can be part of the squad here at Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA.